All right, we have a panel with us on discussing with us on what exactly took place that night, even once the blame game has already begun. In the studio with us is Captain Panisar, aviation expert, on the phone line. We are also joined by Denzel Keeler, aviation expert. Let me cut across to Captain Panisar first. Captain, the blame game seems to have already begun in this entire saga. At one point, the ATC is saying that they were the ones who managed to save these lives. And on the other hand, the jet spokesperson stating very clearly that nothing was told by the ATS to them. Now, in this entire blame game, there were many lives at risk, Captain.
Yes, I agree. But see, I fail to understand, first of all, how ATC asked the Jet Airways to abort the takeoff. If you'd aborted takeoff after V1, what is the reason, what is the emergency, what is the situation under which ATC told him to abort the takeoff? If you'd aborted the takeoff, maybe, I don't know how serious was the situation. But he said he continued to take off as he reached the speed V1. Yes, after V1, the pilot is supposed to take off. But if there is a greater emergency, he can even reject after V1, only the aircraft will be damaged, it will go off the runway. But major disaster can be averted. Another thing which is appreciable is that the Air India commander who was approaching the runway, he can go around as long as he is in the air. Even if he has crossed the decision height of 200, 150 feet, he can still carry out a go around. And I appreciate what he has done, because the pilot who is landing, he is also looking at the runway. If there is any obstruction, he can carry out go around at any stage as long as the aircraft is in the air. But once he touches down, then the go around is not possible. Then it could have been a big disaster.
So was it quick action by the Air India pilot which filled in those crucial minutes between death and disaster there? Let's listen in on what the audio recordings that we have on what exactly happened that fateful night.
Yes.
Jet 9W012, you are clear to take off. Roger, clear for takeoff. AI920, this is Mumbai ATC, continue approach. Roger, continue approach. Approaching MDA carrying a go around. Jet 9W012, you were asked to abort takeoff. Sorry, instruction too late. We crossed V1 speed.
Alright, let's cut across at this point of time. Let's bring in aviation expert Denzel Keeler, who's on the phone line with us. Thank you for talking to Headlines today. Now, on the basis of the information that is coming out, on the basis of this audio recording that Headlines today is playing for our viewers, what do you make of this entire chaos which transpired on that night, Mr. Keeler?
Are you talking? Can I speak?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
See, firstly, takeoff and landing are very critical phases of flight, and one cannot make a mistake either by the pilot or the ground or the flight controller. The control of the aircraft for takeoff and landing is in the hands of the ATC controller, and at no time and he has to keep the space between the aircraft on the ground and the aircraft approaching such a way that if for any reason the aircraft on takeoff aborts takeoff, the aircraft in the Air India in this case would have enough height to go round again. Now the previous speaker had said that he can go down once lower, but I don't think that the rule is that by 500 feet, if you are not clear to take off, you have to land, you have to go round again. And coming below that is a violation of the rules. So I feel that in my opinion, the ATC has asked the Air India aircraft to go around very late, which is not a safe practice at all. In this case, it may have been an emergency.
Right.
But otherwise, 500 feet, if he does not clear to land, he has to go down.
Right. You know, Mr. Keeler, stay on with us because we're going to come back and ask you what the Mumbai ATS did not do right, putting hundreds of passengers' life at risk. But let's bring in Captain Panisar, who's with us. Captain, you were just talking about that at this point of time, one must give due to that gentleman who was sitting in the cockpit, the pilot of the Air India aircraft, because he has proven to be instrumental here. He's done the job of what the ATC did not do.
Yes. See, pilot, even if he is clear to land, and he finds any obstruction, as long as he is in the air, he can use the powers and go around from 50 feet down. But once he touches the ground, then it is difficult for him to go around. And once a pilot is landing, he is very cautious to see on the runway if there is any obstruction. Suppose he is coming into landing, finds a truck crossing the runway or some people, he can go around immediately. But if he touches down, then it could have been a big disaster. Then he cannot go around.